What can toothache teach us about supporting a team member's mental well-being? You'll find out in a moment. Hi and welcome to Headstrong, the video series to help people managers support their team's mental well-being. Now I remember years ago when I was in my early 20s and I had a toothache, major toothache, the sort where it feels like someone's drilling into your head and ibuprofen just won't touch it at all. So I got myself down to the dentist and explained the situation, told him I had pain in one of these teeth down here and I needed him to remove it as soon as possible. So the dentist sat me down, had a look in my mouth and said, "There's nothing wrong with that tooth." I said, "Of course there's something wrong with that tooth. Can't you see the pain I'm in? The agony that I'm in?" He said, "There's nothing wrong with that tooth at the bottom, but the tooth directly above it that's got a crack in it and a hole in it, that's where your pain's coming from." Now I politely told him he was talking a load of rubbish, talking out of his backside, and said, "No, it's definitely tooth at the bottom." So after a bit of a back and forth, he eventually persuaded me. He said, "Look, I'll remove the tooth at the top, because that's got to come out anyway, the one with the crack and the hole in it, that's going to have to come out anyway, and if your pain's still there, then I'll remove the one at the bottom." I begrudgingly agreed, although it meant I was going to lose 2 teeth now instead of 1. So he removed the tooth at the top, and lo and behold, the pain disappeared. Nothing left, couldn't feel a thing. My head returned to normal. The thing is, when we're in the middle of a crisis, when we're in the middle of a meltdown, our usual problem-solving abilities and our rational thinking tends to go out the window. If you think back to the last time you had a bit of a meltdown or a crisis, you're probably thinking differently about the situation now to how you were at the time. That's simply because you're not emotionally involved in it anymore. And things, when we get ourselves into these patterns of thought, we can go round and round in circles and end up falling down these emotional rabbit holes when we get caught up in certain ways of thinking. And the more time we spend in these emotional rabbit holes, the more they start to colour our mind. And often we're falling down these rabbit holes for no other good reason other than we've just read a situation incorrectly. For example, one of your team members overhears the tail end of a conversation of 2 people talking about them. It comes to the conclusion that these people don't like them. Starts to over time feel a bit paranoid that maybe nobody at work likes them. Sits there at night, unable to get to sleep, worrying about what people are saying about them. It's easy to see how our minds can go off in these trails and again fall down these emotional rabbit holes. And again, these emotional rabbit holes, the more time spent, the more they start to colour our mind. But this is where you step in as the people manager. Because as a people manager with that trusted relationship, you're able to shine the light of objectivity on any situations where the individual who's in the meltdown might not be seeing with their usual clarity and their usual problem-solving skills. So just to recap, the important message here is when we're in the middle of a crisis, our problem-solving skills go out the window completely. We're just not able to think as clearly and as rationally as we used to. So what we need is someone there to maybe for a well-crafted question, because often it's just a well-crafted question that can shine the light of objectivity on us, and that in itself is enough to pull us back from the precipice of this emotional rabbit hole. Because again, the more time spent in these emotional rabbit holes, the more they can start to colour our minds. So that's all for this episode of Headstrong. I hope this has been useful for you. I look forward to speaking to you soon and keep an eye out for our next video.